welcome back to my channel. So excuse the wet hair just at the shower and the no makeup because I can't be bothered. But I wanted to make quite a serious video today, so if you don't want to see this type of video then just click off now, but it's going to be a long chatty video, so if you want to stay, curl up, grab a blanket, grab a cup of tea, and you can just not enjoy, but you know, join me in this chat. So today I have a little script. It's actually quite a long script because there's a lot to tell, but today I'm going to make a video about my depression and my anxiety. I know what you're all thinking. You're all going to start thinking, oh, you don't have depression and anxiety, you're always so happy. If you know me, you'll think that. Or you're going to think that I'm faking it because I want attention. That's also not true. I have had depression for quite a few years now. I actually started in primary 7 when my primary 7 teacher was really bad to me, and she wasn't a very good teacher to me. And I was bullied a bit in primary school, and just all around primary 7 was just not a good year for me. So that's about when it all started. The anxiety started around the same time. So my primary 7 teacher was really mean. She never ever decided that what I was doing was enough for her, and she always used to belittle me and put me down because I have hypermobility in my fingers, which means it hurts a lot when I write for a long amount of time. It also means that I can't write neatly and quickly. I can either write quickly and it be unneat, or I can write neatly and me take more time to do it. Now, this was never really established in primary school, but I always knew that I had this problem. Unfortunately, my teacher could not quite understand this concept that I could not write neatly and quickly. So she used to belittle me for the fact that I never put enough detail into some of my answers, for example in English, because I was trying to write them neatly, but then whenever I put enough detail into them, she always asked me to make it neater and said that if I didn't make it neater, I was not going to survive high school very well. Now, along with this, I was bullied by some of the pupils in my primary school as well. A lot of them will deny it, a lot of them will not believe it, but I was, and I would not make this up because I know how serious bullying is, and I know how serious it is when people fake it. But I was bullied by a few people in my school, and it was not okay, and nobody did anything about it. Mainly on my fault for that one, because I never told anyone. But the reason I never told anyone was because I didn't think anybody would believe me, and I didn't want to put myself in the way for more bullying, because if I told someone, then they'd call me a grass or a snitch or something, and they'd find another way to bully me, and it wasn't okay. I spent half of my primary 7 sitting in the corner of the playground writing in a diary because I was just so lonely, or reading a book or doing something, because I didn't have many friends. I had a few friends, few close friends, and those friends are what kept me going really, but primary 7 was just not a good year for me. I found my depression and anxiety getting slowly worse, and me not knowing what to do about it because I didn't know what depression was really, and I wasn't sure what anxiety was. I just knew that I was quite scared of many things that wouldn't normally scare people, and I was getting upset or just randomly not feeling anything for some odd reason. And I didn't understand what was going on, so I didn't tell anyone because I thought it was just something normal that was happening. But I think it all started to go a lot worse about 2 years ago. Now, I was hit in the face by a swing 2 years ago. The person who was wrapping the swing around and I are still friends. We have not fallen out about it. I don't blame him, I don't blame anyone. It's no one's fault, apart from maybe mine a little bit, but that's not the point. The point is, I felt really down. I had 4-hour surgery to replace my face back together, and that included titanium plates and screws, one around about here and the other one around about up here. Now, my face still hurts to this day occasionally. It will still get shooting pains, it still has altered sensations, so you know when you like touch your face normally it feels fine. If I touch here, I get kind of like a pins and needles type feeling, and there's not much feeling to it because the nerves are permanently damaged. But no scars and absolutely amazing. I thank the Maxillofacial crew a lot for that. They did everything they could and I am so grateful. But saying that, having the surgery and having the facial incident in the first place, it took a huge toll on me. I had to miss out on so much. I missed out on my fencing, I missed out on going out and seeing my friends because I was just so tired, because my body was trying to heal itself. I managed to make the school show for 2 of the 3 nights that we're doing it. I missed the first night for a second round of surgery, but I only just managed to make that. I was lucky to make it. I nearly didn't. And it was such a it was such a life-changing incident. Like, I could have died, and I know that people will over-exaggerate everything, be like, oh, I nearly died, but this was more realistic of I could have died. I was literally millimeters or centimeters away from death, because the swing hit me here, but if I had been ever so slightly further away, it would have hit me on my temple and I would have died. Or I could have been blind, or anything worse that could have happened, but luckily only my face was the thing that injured. I also suffered with some post-traumatic stress after this incident. Now, this comes in many different forms for many different people, but for me, it came with random flashbacks during the day, but especially at night when I was sleeping. I would dream about what had happened and how it hit, but everything, it would like repeat itself once, and then it would go slower, and it would focus on each and every different sense. So like, I'd hear every single bone cracking in my face. Then the next time round, I'd see everything from different angles. It was like I was looking at it from my friends' perspectives all around the place. And then I'd feel the pain of it. I'd go through all of the senses, and it would just repeat itself to the stage where I was struggling to sleep at night because I couldn't feel safe falling asleep without getting the dream, because it just kept happening. But luckily I saw therapy for that, and that was sorted, and I'm very thankful to the therapist that helped me out with that. Another thing that I had to face was suicidal thoughts, but not in the way that you think. I'm not, like, I wasn't, and I'm still not to this day, actively thinking about suicide. It is a way of thinking about what would happen if that swing actually had killed me. So I would go back to that time and think about what would happen if the swing had killed me. So I would think about how my family would feel. I would think about how my friends, the few of them that I have, would feel. I would think about my coach at fencing. I would think about everyone and how it would impact on them. And a lot of the time, and this is the depression kicking in, it would make me think that the world would be better without me in it, and it would be a lot better if that swing had just killed me. Now, I'm not the type of person to go and jump off a building or overdose or find a way to kill myself. I'm not going to do it because I know how upset that makes people, having experienced it myself with one of my close friends. But it's the kind of like thoughts at the back of your head where you think about all the things that would be better without you there. Now, luckily for me, I have a family who's really supportive, and I have friends who are really supportive as well. Now, they don't know, my friends don't know everything about this. My parents know everything, but my friends don't know everything, so I'm sorry for the big, like, drop of all of this information if you're watching this. But yeah, so that left me with some few suicidal thoughts and just a heck ton of depression, and it just wasn't fair. All I wanted to do was just crawl into my bed and feel safe again. And my bed was my safe place, and because after the PT, like after the post-traumatic stress had stopped, my bed was my safe place, and I just wanted to go back into it and just feel safe again, because it's where I could just block out all the emotions and all the problems that I was facing, and it was just a good place to be for me. And now I need a drink before I cry. Everyone's depression and anxiety is different. Everybody has a different experience of it. My one is a case where I can go days at a time with feeling absolutely nothing. Now, I'm being absolutely realistic here. I will go for days with feeling no happiness, no sad, no grief, no pain, no, not even just meh. I'm just living, I'm there, and I'm just a ball of cells shoved into a room, having to fake the emotions that I should be feeling in certain circumstances. Now this isn't fun, especially when you have friends that can see through your fake smile and see through everything else. But, yeah, I can go days where I feel absolutely nothing. And the things that would normally make me feel things, like being with friends, listening to music, or fencing, they normally make me feel something, at least one emotion, but there are occasions where I feel nothing during those even anymore. Like, I got super upset about a month or two back because I was fencing and I felt absolutely nothing, and it was the first time in 7 years that I'd felt absolutely nothing whilst fencing. And it was just heartbreaking because fencing had always made me feel something. I've been fencing for 7 years, and I'd felt the adrenaline rush, and I'd felt happiness about doing a sport that I really enjoyed. And the first time I felt absolutely nothing, and I didn't want to scare my club mates with it. I didn't want to scare my coach. I didn't want to scare anything off, and I didn't want to be that weird person that had mental issues or problems. I just wanted to be me again, and that wasn't happening. So that was a really rough patch, and that was the first time that after that I decided that I needed to tell my mum and my dad. Now I noticed I'd been suffering with depression and anxiety since primary 7. I'm now in 4th year, which I think is like year 11 for English people and Welsh people. But I'm now there, and for those 5 years I had been dealing with it by myself. I had been pushing through it. I had been finding coping mechanisms. And eventually one of those coping mechanisms dissolved in front of me and was no longer there as a way for me to enjoy myself, and I just thought to myself that that was the start of the downfall, that was the start of everything going bad, because if fencing, the one thing that I absolutely adore, is starting to make me feel nothing, then next it's going to be my friends, and then it's going to be music, and it's going to, everything that's going to make me feel, I'm just not going to feel during it anymore. And that meant that I could just have like months of feeling nothing, and I didn't want to have that happen. So I talked to my mum about it, and we went to the GP. Now my GP, we told her exactly what I was feeling, how I was feeling, just spaced out occasionally, and like I was living but I wasn't there. It was like my body was there but my mind was like here, and I could never feel anything on things that I should be feeling, and it was just really hard for me, but I'm glad that I did it, because she then referred me to some therapy groups and some other places to go. But yeah, she diagnosed me with depression and anxiety, which was quite hard for me, I'm not gonna lie, because I wanted to get diagnosed, I really did. I wanted to finally have the answer, but then when it happened, I was also really shocked because it meant that it was real and it wasn't just something that I could just brush off and say, oh, I'm just overreacting. It was something active and there, and there was nothing that I could do about it. I had mental health issues. I had depression, one of the biggest problems in teens nowadays. I had anxiety, which I didn't know how to deal with properly. It all just kind of came crashing down that this was real. And it's crazy how little people actually know about it, because I had no idea how serious this was. I just thought it was something going on weird in my head. I thought I was just going to get over it, but I had that thinking for 5 years. 5 years I just brushed it under the rug, and it's crazy how you don't get to learn about anything like this. You don't get taught anything like this. So the people suffering, they just have to muddle through. They just guess. They don't have anything to prove what they say is real. And it's just quite disturbing how little people know about it. One of the better things about my depression, though, is the fact that even though I can go days with feeling nothing, when I do feel, I feel like 10 times bigger than most other people. So if somebody's happy, I will become insanely happy. If somebody's laughing, I will take that laughter to a whole new level. If somebody's upset, if I'm upset, like mentally, then the upset will turn to great sadness and sometimes grief. Small amounts of grief can become huge and amplified for me. That's a good word, amplified. Everything just becomes amplified. So my head will tell me that I should be feeling sad, and then another part of my head will join in with that and go, yeah, you should be feeling sad, so feel all of the sadness, feel everything. Which, at the time, I'm not always grateful for, but then I also am at the same time. A lot of people wouldn't be grateful for feeling grief or sadness or heartbreak or anything, but considering I have days where there is nothing to feel, it's amazing to remember that I have days where I can feel so much more than nothing, and it's something that helps me keep going, keep getting out of bed, keep moving and keep going on with my life. Last summer, where I started my YouTube, I had started everything and it was going really well, but there were days where I just wouldn't upload because I just wanted to stay in bed. Again, my bed was my safe place after the post-traumatic stress had stopped, so I would stay in bed for days on end, not wanting to leave because I just felt safe, and I felt like I could be there and not have to feel all the sadness and the depressing feelings on a day-to-day basis. When I walked out of the room, when I got out of bed, when I stood up and looked outside, I wouldn't have to feel anything. I wouldn't have to be upset anymore. I would just live, but like emotionless. I would just stay in bed and not have to feel. I spent the majority of last summer in my bed, not wanting to do anything and filming multiple videos at a time so that you guys could have some videos on the days when I felt like I was in a good enough mood to do it. But I think the main point of this video is just to inform people that it's okay to have depression or anxiety or be bipolar or have depersonalization or any mental health problem. It's okay to have it, and there doesn't have to be a reason behind it, because I always felt like I was beyond ungrateful for having depression, because I live a very good life. I have a good room, I have a roof over my head, I have a family that love me, I have food on the table whenever I want it, and I felt beyond ungrateful because I have all of these things when there are people in the world and even in Britain alone that don't have this option. So I always felt like I had no reason to have depression. I had no excuse, no nothing huge to have this mental health issue, and it wasn't a healthy thing to have. It wasn't healthy for me to think that I didn't almost deserve to be helped for something that I didn't want, because it was very complicated. One of the reasons I think I wanted to raise this topic is because I lost one of my friends recently to him committing suicide. It was in January, and he was also my ex-boyfriend, but that doesn't matter, he was my friend nonetheless. And he committed suicide, and it just wasn't pleasant to know that he was struggling so much that he wanted to end it all. And I think that's another reason why I wanted to make this video, is because there are people struggling in silence, and he was one of them, and it didn't end well for him. So I don't want that to happen to anyone else, and I hope this could help people understand that it's okay to talk to someone, it's okay to have these feelings. That's the end of my video. Thank you for sticking around and watching it if you're already at the end, and yeah, please leave a like, comment down below, tell me a little bit about yourselves if you've got any problems. Maybe we can all help each other, and yeah, I'll see you next time, guys. Bye! That's the end of my video, guys. I don't hope you enjoyed it, that'd be a bit sadistic. Are you serious?